What if the problem is not that you're lazy? And what if the real problem is that you have just been wounded for so long that you started over, and the starting over has become what I call normal. And I hate that word, normal. Welcome back to Michael Hicks and the Live2Thrive Podcast. My name is Michael Hicks, and on today, we're going somewhere real, like real mirror honesty. No masks, no fake toughness, no polished performance. We're going to talk about the cycle so many men live in, yet rarely know how to name. They say things like, "Are you ready? Men, are you ready?" And women that are listening, this can be really beneficial that you can share with your husband or your significant other. But they say things like, "I don't know why I keep falling off." Or they say things like, "I start out strong and then I lose momentum." And then they also say things like, "I know what to do, yet I just don't do it." Now, does that sound like someone that you know? I'm not even done yet. They also say things like, "I keep hurting the people I truly love, and even that is not what I want." Or they say something like, and I hate this word, but I hear it all the time, "I'm trying, but nothing seems to work or stick." And because they do not understand the root cause of the issue, they call themselves lazy. And they call themselves inconsistent, and they call themselves weak. And not only weak, they also call themselves broken. But I want to say something to the men listening right now. You're not lazy and you're not wounded. And if you do not heal what is underneath you, you're going to keep restarting your life almost like a car with a bad battery. Follow me? And I don't know anything about being a mechanic, but I definitely know without a solid battery, your car's not going to run. You will get movement for a moment, but then yet it kind of gets lost, or what I call sustained power. So today, I'm going to unpack the following: why men keep starting over, and how pain shows up in relationships, and how many men do not even realize the damage that they're doing to themselves and to others, and how my Live to Thrive framework will help you finally stop that perpetuating endless cycle and become the man who's safe, who's steady, who's whole, and who's fully aligned. So if this episode hits you in the chest today, please make sure to subscribe to my podcast, because this is the kind of work that I do here. And I do it in a multiple of avenues and areas. And one is a VIP client, which is a one-on-one specialty. And I also work with clients that are in group work as well, which I call classes or cohorts or stuff that really works, which is really transformation. So the lie that men believe. Are you ready for this? A lot of men have been trained to believe this. Are you ready? They believe this perpetuating lie is that if I just get more discipline, I'll be okay. Women usually use the word fine. Now, I'm going to be real clear here. Discipline does matter. However, structure matters, standards matter, and follow through and execution matters. However, discipline cannot heal what denial is protecting. All right. And I see this and I hear this often, is you cannot outwork an unaddressed wound. You cannot grind your way out of emotional immaturity, and you surely cannot muscle through traumatic responses and call that peace. Oh, I just need to go to the gym. That's enough. That's not enough. You cannot keep telling your wife, your significant other, your girlfriend, your children, your team, yourself that this is how I am, while everything around you keeps bleeding. Now, some men are not failing due to their lack of drive. Here's why most men are failing. They're failing because they are driven by fear. They are driven by shame. They are driven by unresolved hurt, and they are driven by abandonment, rejection, betrayal, father wounds, dad wasn't there, mother wounds, mom wasn't there, spiritual confusion, and years of emotional survival mode. Yeah, wow, that's a mouthful, right? And that's a whole new different beast. It's a whole new different beast. So when a man says, I procrastinate, sometimes honestly what he means, for those of the ladies that are listening out there, is I'm terrified of failing again. Sometimes he says, I shut down or go to my bat cave. Sometimes what he means is, I never learned how to feel safe in conflict. That's a hard one. It's even a hard one for me. When he says something like, I just need more space, sometimes what he means is, I'm emotionally overloaded right now and flooded, and I don't know how to regulate without disappearing. And then when he says, oh man, she's always nagging. Oh man, she's always complaining. Sometimes what he means is, I'm hearing feedback as rejection because internally I feel inadequate. And that's where this gets really serious. And the man never learns the love language of his wounds. Or I should say, not love language. He never learns the language of his wounds. He will call it his personality type. He'll call it stress. He'll call it leadership. He'll call it needing more. He'll call it needing more peace or needing peace. He'll call it everybody wants something from me. Meanwhile, inside, the people closest to him are carrying that heavy weight and impact. How wounded men keep starting over. Here's a cycle I see all the time. A man gets fed up. He feels conviction, pressure, fear, consequence, overload on money, divorce, debt. And he says, enough. I'm changing. I'm done with this. So then he makes promises. He starts the workout plan. He reads the book. He posts an inspirational quote. He apologizes. He gets focused for just a week, maybe 2. And then you know what happens? You know what happens? Stress hits, conflict hits, fatigue hits, a trigger hits, a moment of shame hits. A relationship exposes what is still unresolved. And suddenly he's back to the same old perpetual self, starting over again on Monday. With patterns like anger, avoidance, emotional distance, lust, pornography, inconsistency, defensiveness, even people-pleasing, control, silence, withdrawal, overworking, numbing. And then, bang, the crash, or the brown paper bang syndrome explodes. He feels guilt at that time. He loses his confidence. He starts doubting himself. And then he makes a fresh promise. And then what happens? The wheels spin again and again and again. And that's not discipline problem first. It's a wound and a pattern problem. So research tells us, in clinical work and trauma has emphasized that the painful past experiences can affect trust, can affect concentration, can affect emotional regulation and relationships in the present. And this one is the reason the title, The Body Keeps the Score, has really resonated so widely. So in plain English, in plain Michael Hicks language, your past can keep grabbing the steering wheel of your present. Does that make sense? Here's another one. The pain points men quietly carry. Let's name the pain points. Let's name them. Let's do it. A lot of men are walking around with, I call, invisible fractures. He feels alone even when he's surrounded. He has friends, however, no place to be really honest and truthful with them. He has responsibilities, yet no emotional refuge. He is needed, yet not known. So what happens? He performs strength instead of living in truth. So then he makes emotional shutdown for peace. He says things, I just don't want any drama. Yet what he's really saying is, I don't know how to stay present when emotions rise. So instead of leaning in, what does he do? He disappears. He disappears physically. He disappears in the present, and even emotionally gone, disappeared. He also feels the pressure to hold everything in. Bills, marriage, children, leadership, faith. I don't know what else. Fitness, sex, career, reputation. He's holding all of it in, yet nobody taught him the process of what it cost him and his relationships. He also thinks fixing external things will fix internal instability, right? Oh, I'm just going to do household chores around the house, or I'm just going to go in the garage and do some stuff, or I'm going to do whatever the wife told me to do to fix this cabinet or this closet, or maybe a better job, a new relationship, a new city, a new church, a new body, a new routine. Yet no matter where he goes, his unhealed self keeps arriving first before anything else. He also confuses being feared with being respected. So he becomes sharp, almost critical, almost dismissive, controlling, and even hard to approach. And he does not realize the room gets quiet when he enters, not due to the fact that he carries peace. It's because people are just embracing for what's going to happen. You know what I'm talking about? That's hard truth. Yet it's honest, transparent truth. So what about the damaged man that doesn't realize that they're causing this stuff in their relationships? I think this is truly the one the man messes up the most. And here's what I mean. I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty here. You're either going to tune me in or tune me off or change the channel or subscribe to somebody else. No, don't do that. If you really like my podcast, please send it to 5 of your listeners. And hit the subscribe button so you get to instantaneous live sessions with me. And you're also part of an awesome a group affiliated where I send you out some awesome, cool things, neat things to really try out and use that actually work out. Here's a word from our sponsor. Can't sleep, got the aches and pains. You got to check out this new CBD oil. It's not really new. It's been in existence since my podcast. If you are a Michael Hicks Liv2Thrive Podcast listener, you can go to superfungummies.com and use promo code New Heights. That's all cap locks. You get 50% off at checkout. And what's amazing for it, if you can't sleep, you got the aches and pains, this is a great thing. Great product to use. It's almost tested. It's a proven formula. So go ahead and take advantage of that so you can get some better sleep. So back to the podcast. So I want to talk about the damaged man that doesn't realize they're causing in a relationship. And this messes most men up. So they think they're not cheating. They think they're not hitting. And I'm just going to work. I'm providing. So what is the problem? I'm going to go deep. Here's the problem. A relationship is not only damaged by dramatic betrayal, it's also damaged by what I call chronic emotional absence. A man can be physically loyal and still be rationally unsafe. He can be financially responsible, but yet but yet emotionally unpredictable. Follow me? He can love his family and still wound them with the way he speaks, with the way he shuts down, the way he explodes, the way he dismisses, the way he even avoids. And many men do not even see this because they judge themselves by intention. Men judge themselves by intention, ladies. Their partner judges by impact. So that's the gap where relationships begin to rot. I refer to John Gottman's institution all the time here. He talks about this. Relationship research has long highlighted destructive patterns like the following. Drum roll, please. Maybe not a drum roll because this is not good. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. And his institution, or where he's at, describes contempt as a particular toxic predator of a breakdown. Let me translate this a little bit better. For example, criticism. Says things like, you always, you never, what's wrong with you? Defensiveness. And ladies and men can both adhere to this because this is on both aspects here. Defensiveness. Oh, it's not my fault. You're just being too sensitive, dude. Or you do the same thing over and over. Or better yet, stonewalling. Here's what stonewalling is. Silence, distance, no eye contact, emotional retreat, getting numb. And then the contempt. Contempt is sarcasm, mocking, talking about your relationship with other people, belittling, talking down about them, eye rolling, treating your partner like they are beneath you. Man, I've witnessed all of these in relationships because I was failing men. And a lot of men that maybe not do all these, their significant other is. And then there's frustration. And they get stressed. Or for me, it was year 3 of a relationship that I should have got out of, crying on my way to Easter church service. My buddy shared that with me. And I wasted 7 years in a relationship that I didn't even realize how bad it was. But men usually call it stress. They call it leadership. They call it being real because I'm a man, because men got to do those things. But what their partner feels is this: I'm not safe when I'm with you. I can't even reach you. I feel alone in this relationship. I have to manage your moods just to keep peace in the household. Or I don't even feel cherished or maybe understood or even emotionally protected. And that's the gaps that it's the sliver that keeps hitting in your relationships. So eventually it's a heartbreak. And here's the hidden consequence, y'all. Children learn love by what they live around. I have been witness to this past summer. Unbelievable. So if you see dad arguing, shouting, degrading another person, maybe shuts down, maybe has rage, maybe dismisses, dominates, or maybe emotionally vanquished, he may inherit, or the child may inherit this template. If the daughter sees a man who's too cold, too harsh, unpredictable, unreachable, she may normalize disconnection and call it love later. I've seen this happen. And this is why this work matters, y'all. This is not about your mood. It's about building a lengthy legacy that will allow you to live a healthy, purposeful, peaceful life. Men, I'm going to talk to you on here. And women, this is great for you to listen to because I think you could take a lot away from this episode today is attachment and wounds and why men react the way they do. Another key idea here is our attachment, men's attachment patterns affect how we connect to other people, how we pursue, how we avoid, how we trust, how we respond in relationships. There's a book specifically that I cannot remember the name of it, but it talks about recognizing attachment style patterns and then building stronger, more fulfilling connections. Does that make sense? So what does that actually look like in real life, Michael Hicks? So most men become anxious when they are in love. They fear being left out. They overthink. They chase reassurance. They react strongly when connection feels uncertain. And other men even become avoidant. They need distance. They feel trapped by vulnerability. They downplay needs and they pull away when intimacy deepens. Does that sound familiar? And some men bounce between both of them. So they want to love badly. However, when it comes to close connectiveness enough to expose them, they self-sabotage. Why do they do that, Michael? Here's my experience. Because intimacy is expensive when you have unhealed wounds. Love will reveal what achievement can hide. Does that make sense? So a man can look successful in public and still be a stranger to himself in private. This is why some of the strongest looking men are the hardest men to live with because they have built this they built externally something that has never matched their internal healing. Does that make sense? So let's jump into emotional suppression that is not strength, guys. It's just not strength. And a lot of men learn one emotional rule. And I grew up with this. Do not feel too much, dude. Do not cry. Do not need. Don't be needy. I get it to some extent. Do not break or do not open up. Don't open up. Don't look weak. Psychological guidance from the APA warns that rigid emotional suppression in boys and men are linked with harmful outcomes. And relationship studies have found that habitual suppression, get this, is often associated with lower relationship satisfaction and weaker social connection. So what have men done? Well, they become fluent in 3 emotions. You ready? Anger, silence, and humor. Everything else gets buried alive. Buried pain, listeners, does not die. It becomes toxic. It leaks. And it leaks into tonality. It leads into the sex life. It leads into how you handle disappointment. It leads into parenting issues. It leads into conflict. It leads into ambition. And it leads into the way you hear a simple criticism or a simple question as criticism. You see what I'm saying? So if your wife says, hey, can we talk? Here's what you feel, or here's what you hear, men. Oh no, I'm in trouble. I'm failing. And then when your child makes a mistake, you know what you do? You react with intensity. And you know why, men? Because your nervous system is already overloaded. And then when you feel disrespected, men, you go cold or sharp because vulnerability feels too dangerous, especially with anger. And this is why I say this. You're not just dealing with behavior. You're dealing with injury. So let me tie this all together with my Live to Thrive framework on how I help individuals like yourself that maybe you have been really struggling with. Now, I work with couples. I work with females and males, and I work with all types of different people. But what I'm going to tell you right now, this right here, if you want to pause this episode on the podcast, this is going to really help you reset. So I believe it comes from honest awareness, ownership, and alignment action. So I'm just going to call this the Live to Thrive reset for all of you. The first one is reveal. You have to tell the mirror truth about the pattern. Not the polished truth, not the real truth, just what has been off lately. I'll just make it that clear. Okay? And here's the thing. When you use things like, but I shut down every time I feel exposed, or you say I get sharp when I feel small, or you say I chase control when I feel afraid, or maybe you say I restart because I confuse motivation with healing. All right? The second one is the root. Find the wound beneath the behavior. What does this pattern protect you from? Well, does it protect you from rejection, abandonment, humiliation, failure, maybe feeling unworthy, maybe feeling unseen, maybe feeling powerless, and you cannot heal what you will not trace. The third one, responsibility. This is truly, I think, where men grow up. You are not responsible for every wound you've received from your past. You are responsible for what those wounds are producing currently right now. And if that means no blaming your childhood while you manage your marriage because your marriage is starving, or maybe no blaming your father because your father wasn't there, because you've learned this learning instability that you got from that situation, or no blaming you. Let's just say this: no blaming your past while your present is kind of paying the bill. 4, repair. Repair. How can I say this? Repair is not an apology. Repair is like evidence. It's a changed tone. It's a changed response. It's a changed consistency. It's changed honesty. It's changed follow through. So it is your partner having a new experience with you, not hearing a new promise from you. 5, I want you to rise. This is where you stop surviving and start becoming. Men, become a man who can stay present in discomfort. Become a man who can listen without collapsing. Become a man who can lead without controlling, and become a man who can feel without drowning, and become a man who can love without hiding. That is what I build at Live2Thrive. So what happens? Let me say this. What healing starts to look like? Let's talk about what happens if I start to heal. Well, healing does not mean you become soft in wrong ways, men. It means you become stronger in the right ones. So you stop reacting to everything that you feel like is a threat. You stop making your partner pay for what someone else did, right? Or the issue, the problem. You stop using silence as punishment. You stop leading with tension and calling in standards. You stop restarting your life every Monday. And then you build a life you can hold pressure because you finally feeling like you're becoming whole. And the people around you can feel it too. Your wife's going to feel safer. Your kids are going to feel calmer. Your friends will feel the difference. Your spirit will feel cleaner. Your decisions then become a lot crystal clearer. And your discipline becomes sustainable because it's no longer sitting on top of a war zone. That's the difference between behavior modification and transformation. So I want to give you a challenge, listeners. Are you ready? This is, I think, a really good challenge. So this goes in for the men. Women, you can use this as well, but this is a man-to-man. Men, how many more times are you going to restart before you admit something deeper is going on? How many more conversations have to end with distance? How many more nights of silence have to occur? How many more apologies with no system behind them? How many more goals do you have to abandon? Or better yet, how many more people have to love you while never really reaching you? At some point, strength is not pretending that you're fine, men. Strength is telling the truth early enough that your life can still change. You do not need more fake motivation. You need healing, you need structure, and you need accountability, man. That's what you need. And you need someone who can help you identify the wound that you have, confront the pattern, and build the man underneath with quality performance. And here's why you need to get a coach, and a coach that matters. It's because awareness without accountability, it evaporates. It starts over. Insight without action turns into frustration. And emotion without strategy becomes another spiral. So here is what I want to do right now. If this episode hits you in the chest and is pounding, I was reading some of your mail and your emails. Thank you for those listeners that have been sending me some emails about previous episodes that I've done. But if this really hits you in the chest, subscribe to the Michael Hicks and the Live2Thrive podcast, because I put every sweat, heart, and tears into building something to help you break perpetual cycles and patterns and strengthen your identity, heal your relationships, and lead your life with clarity and conviction. And if you're tired, y'all, of starting over, and if your relationship is being affected, and maybe even if you know there's more in you in life and yet you keep sabotaging this path, then it may be time to stop attempting to repair this thing in isolation. Let's work together. Work with me. That's what I do. And at Live2Thrive, I help men like yourself uncover what is really driving the inconsistency? What's really shutting you down? Where's the anger coming from? The fear, the self-sabotage, and the relational damage that's affecting your relationships. And then build real tools, real systems, and real alignment so your healing starts to show up in your everyday life with habits that work in your home and in leadership. And it's not inspiration, y'all. I call it transformation. Not just good intentions, integrated growth. And not just another restart, a rebuilt man. So listeners, thank you so much. Everyone that's listening, that's been part of this journey with me. And I want to leave you with this. You are not too far gone. You're not disqualified because you have patterns. You're not too weak because you're wounded. And you just have to stop hiding behind the wrong label, y'all. Maybe you're not lazy. Maybe you're just carrying pain that never got a language and you never got any guidance. That was me for a long time. I never healed. Man, anger built up inside of me. So maybe this episode really hits you and you finally are able to maybe name it after listening to this. My name is Michael Hicks. This is Live to Thrive, and this is your reminder that your healing is not just about you. It's about every life that's connected to yours. In that, like I said, my name is Michael Hicks. I'm the host with the most and 1% better in mind, body, and soul. Until next time, see you on the next episode. And always stay flexed.